Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Michael J, and we have a problem to talk about, to say the least. There is a lot, and I mean a lot, of people talking online about how bad of a show the Book of Boba Fett is. It's getting to the point where I've seen more articles talking about how much of a letdown it was and how boring and not true to the character it is than I do about how great of a show it is. And while I will say the show is not perfect, I do think that it is a very fun, entertaining Star Wars show to add to the Star Wars Disneyverse. It is much better than anything we saw in the sequel trilogy, and I truly think that they are taking steps in the right direction, trying to make the content that we want to see. Now, granted, not everything that they will try will work, but I'm just happy to see them doing something that we can actually get behind finally. It's been 10 years since Disney acquired Star Wars, and they spent the first 9 years making movies that the fans hated and even the actors don't enjoy. Those movies made Mark Hamill say he would never come back to Star Wars again, that he was done. It wasn't until The Mandalorian that we finally saw a speck of hope for the Disney reign of the Star Wars IP. Granted, Rogue One was really good, but besides that and an extra season of Clone Wars, there's not much to say about the sequels. Real quick, if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I'll be making videos on all your favorite movies and TV shows each week, so don't forget to subscribe and turn post notifications on if you enjoy the video so you don't miss the next one. I've got a really cool Rancor video coming out soon that you're not going to want to miss. But The Book of Boba Fett is an experimental show. Can they replicate the success of The Mandalorian with other Star Wars themed shows? Can they bring back fan favorites and dive into their stories and create worlds around them that people would love to see? I don't know. That's what we're figuring out now. Honestly, if the right people are directing and making creative choices and writing the story, I think it's completely possible. If the right people are writing Kenobi, I think it's going to be a great show, and I can't wait to see all those actors come back to Star Wars. That's going to be crazy. I can't wait for more Mandalorian. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau really know what they're doing, and it shows. I think that it's possible for Disney to create Star Wars content that is widely loved and accepted. There are so few people that don't enjoy The Mandalorian, true Star Wars fans who have a problem with it to the point where they're unaccepting of it, because this is the first thing that was made by Star Wars fans. Rian Johnson said he didn't like Star Wars. He didn't care about the world and the previous stories that have been told in the universe, and they let him make his own movie in the Skywalker saga. Could you imagine if George Lucas's vision was carried out, or Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau got to make the sequel trilogy? It would have made a world of a difference. But you know what? With all things, there's some trial and error. In this case, 9 years of it, but they finally had a success, and I just want to see the Book of Boba Fett do well. I want them to be able to make 4 seasons of it and dive into the world of bounty hunters and scum and villainy that are in Mos Eisley and explore huge beasts like the Rancors, and I want to see Boba Fett succeed at being a crime lord if that's what he's going to do now. This show is establishing Boba Fett as the same character but on a new direction. We are literally watching him leave his world of bounty hunting and pivot into becoming a crime lord. In the original trilogy, he was a villain. He was a bounty hunter. He was working for the Empire, Vader specifically. He was a bad guy. And now in this show, he's not necessarily that bad of a guy. While he is the main character, he's more of a protagonist than the antagonist of the show. This show is following Boba Fett as he chooses to leave his life of being a bounty hunter behind and pivot towards building an empire for himself. But now he's learning to organize and stay in one place and rely on people other than himself. He's figuring all these things out. And it literally says in the show's description, like they're not hiding it. This is Disney taking the bad guy character and making him good. Did you watch Loki? Same thing. While Boba Fett was more of an anti-hero than a villain in the expanded universe, he always had his morals. He always had this personal code that he would stick by. And this show is literally him setting down rules and starting to trust people and rely on others and work in a team and have others rely on him as a leader. This is a new page for Boba Fett, and the show doesn't try to hide that that's what the show is about. It's in its description. And at the same time, I do think that they could use his character a little bit better. I mean, he's got a rocket launcher and a jetpack, and we've barely seen him use it. The show's whole purpose is to build up Boba Fett as this crime lord, but it doesn't feel as much as a crime lord story as I think the fans want it to feel. While he is still killing people and he is still developing as a character, I think people just want to see him be more brutal. I think they want Disney to utilize his character to his full potential, and that's totally fine. We want to see the jetpack, and we want to see the wrist rockets, and we want to see the flamethrower. We want to see him kill to be respected. If he's going to be a crime lord, he needs to do some crime lord things. Now, I get that it needs to be a PG rating for all the Disney viewers, but I feel like they need to be a little more lenient with being on the PG-13 side of things. It's okay to put a little more blood in the show. It's okay to be a little more aggressive. I mean, yeah, I think his goal is to build an empire. I think he wants to have an army at his disposal. I think he wants to be in a place of power and be a well-known name who is very respected and is responsible for many people below him. I think he wants to provide a good place for people to live and thrive, and he wants to make some money at it. But at this point, Mando is closer to what I expected Boba Fett to be like in the show if he was still in his bounty hunter ways. Episode 1 of Mando, he was ruthless. He got respect from those around him by making an example of those who treated him wrongly. Even in the Mando episode in Boba Fett, Mando was absolutely ruthless and killed a whole slew of people within his first few minutes of screen time. Yes, I do wish Boba Fett was a little more active and spry and ruthless with some of his rulings, but he wants to be respected, not feared. His goals are different, and so his actions are different. Also, Temuera Morrison is doing a lot of his own stunts and action scenes, and he's pretty old. He can't do as much as the younger Pedro Pascal can do. The only really big thing that is concerning is recently in an interview with Temuera Morrison and Ming-Na Wen, Temuera mentioned that he thinks his character speaks way too often.
Well, I was hoping not to say as much as I have already in the first 2 episodes. I speak far too much. In fact, in the beginning, I was trying to get past my lines on to Ming-Na. I want to stay mysterious. I want to stay quiet.
If there's anything that is true to Boba's character is less is more. He had so little screen time when he first appeared in the films, yet he blew up into one of the most beloved fan characters out there. They brought him back and sprinkled him throughout the next film, but it really goes to show that just because he's in the background and not doing too much all the time or not saying too much, doesn't mean that he's not awesome and loved. But at the same time, he is the main character of an entire show. It would only make sense for him to have more lines and us get some character development and feel some emotions from his character so we feel connected and there's a story to follow and it's entertaining. But he also has a sidekick with him at almost all times. A lot of his lines can probably be given to Fennec Shand. He can probably have his helmet on a lot more. Look at Mando. He didn't take his helmet off until the very last episode of the first season. Pedro Pascal is such an amazing actor all season long, and we knew it was him behind the suit. I think it's really awesome that they got Temuera Morrison to come back to play Boba Fett, but if he's in the suit the whole time and his helmet is on a lot more, I don't think anyone would have a problem with it. It's amazing to see his beautiful face again, but again, with Boba Fett, less is more. I also thought the Power Rangers episode was definitely a little out there. I get what they were trying to do with it, kind of like teenagers in high school tricking out their cars with the nice bright colors and everything, but even the brightest things in Tatooine, I just can't imagine being that bright. I was in shock when I was watching it, and it took me out of the viewing experience. And we've seen cyborgs and droids in Star Wars before, but the modifications on these guys just look straight out of a comic book. I don't know if they felt cheap or just a little off or not true to the Star Wars grunge feel of everything, but it reminded me more of Doom Patrol Cyborg than it did of a mutant from Star Wars. I mean, look at all of the exposed parts on C-3PO when he was on Tatooine before he got all covered up. They look nothing alike. It almost felt like we were going a little too close to Star Trek. The difference between the two is one is a utopia and one is a dystopia. Star Wars is supposed to look grungy. Even the nicest, brightest things just aren't that bright. And those things they're riding do not look like speeders. They don't look like fast speeders because we've seen fast speeders. Look at the N1 Starfighter. Look at a swoop bike. Look at speeder bikes, pod racers. Look at Jedi Starfighters. All of these things are fast, and you can tell they're fast before they go fast. These shiny bikes look like they were trying to say they go fast, even though they do not go fast at all. They look like electrical scooters that your grandma uses to go through the mall slowly so she doesn't run over any more children. And then they did the chase scene, which is cool and all, and I'm all for a good chase scene, but it just felt so slow. You've got these slow looking vehicles that you're trying to show off how fast they go, but you're also distracted by the weird modifications they've got on their eyeballs and hands and whatnot. And then you've got these slow looking vehicles that you're trying to show off how fast they go, but then you give them a chase scene and it just reinforces how slow they are. I'm really glad that they redeemed the slow speed stuff with the Mandalorian episode when he just blows by everything on the entire planet. But why can't we do something like that with the speeder chase? Why can't we have a speeder chase that goes outside of the city? Why did we have to stay in a 4-block radius? They're speeders. That's what they do. They're supposed to go fast. I know it wasn't perfect, and I'm not expecting it to be perfect, but it just didn't feel as close to Star Wars as the rest of the new things introduced in this series did. Also, Chrysanthemum. I really enjoyed that they brought someone to life in live action from the comic books. There's a lot of videos out there explaining his origin and where he came from, but basically, he was a gladiator. He was someone that became one of the most feared Wookiees in all of the galaxy. He has this awesome beast reputation behind him, and they do a really good job of making him look scary in the series, but unfortunately, the 1 or 2 times we've seen him in action, he's just kind of let us down. I love Boba Fett's new muscle, but Chrysanthemum should have mauled those guys to death with ease. He should have defeated the biker gang as well. He even went a little easy on Boba Fett. So far, the fight scenes in the show have not been what has carried the series, and I know we mentioned it briefly before, but Temuera Morrison is 61 years old, and he's doing a lot of his own acting and stunts, so it's kind of understood that things will be a little bit slower, but I don't think it would hurt to get a stunt double in there and give us a little more fast-paced fights. The fighting in Mandalorian really blew us away, and they can't just set the bar so high like that and then deliver these fights that just feel a little bit slow and clunky. And also, as a side note, can we please brighten up the night scenes? They did this in the Mandalorian night scenes, and I get that it's supposed to be night and it's realistically dark, but it's so dark I can't see what's going on in the TV. When we put night scenes in these videos, we have to bump up the brightness so you guys can see what's going on. Like, look at this. This is what a normal night scene is, and this is with it just slightly brighter. It's not even that much brighter, but it makes such a big difference I'm able to see what's going on. I have to watch these shows at night because if I watch it in the daytime while the sun's up, it's usually too bright in my apartment to see what's going on if there's any night scenes. Now, overall, I do think there is a lot more positives than negatives with this show, and I'm excited to see how far it will live on. I'm totally open to there being 3 to 4 seasons if they can grasp a good storyline to follow and they improve on the combat. There's a lot of fun Easter eggs. I love seeing the actors that are on screen. I love that Mando is in it. I think this show leaves a lot of opportunity to explore the actual crime scenes in Star Wars and deal with a lot of bounty hunters and interesting characters from Boba's past, but they have to be brave enough to actually try to do it. I want to see them cross that PG line and go a little bit into the PG-13 a little more confidently. I think it would help them out tenfold, especially considering this is a show about a bounty hunter, the coolest bounty hunter in all of Star Wars. What do you think? Do you think they're going too soft? Tell me in the comments. I'm curious what you think of this show. Let me know what your favorite part was, your worst part was. I'm going to be looking through the comments after I post the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be back soon with a very interesting video I've been working on for a while. Make sure you've got post notifications on so you don't miss that. And until next time, remember, the Force will be with you always.